This is the Fort Builders, the podcast where we explore the moments, memories, and meaning that made someone who they are, and discover what we might build in our own lives because of it. I'm your host, Lance Johnson. Welcome to the Fort. Let's begin. Hey, welcome to the Fort Builders. I am excited about today, not only because it's a Friday, but I've got a special guest on today, Brandon Meek, who is special to me because he's family. We are married to sisters, so I guess that makes us brother-in-laws. But it means something to me because when I first did this podcast, and I think maybe first episode, or Brandon, you were on a drive and you had heard it and played it, and you quickly called me and said, "Hey, that's really cool." And so it meant a lot to me that you offered that and gave me those words of encouragement and that support. So, and then you had said, "Hey, if you want me to come on or something, I'd be glad to." So I'm excited to have you here for several reasons, and we're going to get into all that. But number one, if you're watching this, you can see that Brandon's wearing, it shows up, you're wearing a Jayhawk and rock chalk. I love that, especially given this time of year. I don't know when others will hear this, but we are in the midst of March Madness, and I guess we've got a big game tonight. And but before I turn it over to you, I just want to remind the listeners out there a little bit of the kind of the why and the what, or the what and the why. What is the Fort Builders podcast? Really simply, it's trying to figure out how we become who we are. It goes just kind of motivated from self things. If I look back over my life, at some point, I've realized there's common threads that have kind of gone through my life. And the Fort, it goes back to some very special days and memories of building forts with my brothers. And so I kind of use it as a metaphor. It's kind of stuck with me through life of building, rebuilding, tearing things, getting torn down, and having to go through life and do that. And so a little bit of the what, and that's what we try to do, is find out who people are, because I've got a natural sense of curiosity, and I think we've all got layers. But the why is, I think, spending a life of being knocked off my path or trying to figure out it sometimes, maybe some darker times when, who am I? And now I start reflecting back, am I doing what I should be doing? Am I who I thought I was? And I really have a sense of curiosity in others and really want to hear what they have to say. And I think there's so much value in everybody around us, not just celebrities and those that you see all the time, but just anybody. You walk into a coffee shop, anybody in that room's got a story, and it's valuable. And they may not realize that they've either been knocked off the path that they originally thought they were supposed to be on, or they found a new one. Anyway, excited to explore today, Brandon. Hear what you've got for us. And I know a little bit, you recently, I think, took a new opportunity, and you're chief marketing officer doing business development for a law firm in Houston. Kind of hand it off to you.
Yeah. So took this role about 7 months ago. Mid-sized law firm here in Houston, trying to kind of get to that next level. Right. And kind of, I think what was attractive for them, for me, was kind of the diversity of the background I've had in terms of program management and sales enablement, demand generation programs, getting involved in the AI movement, and in my agency life, my creative agency life, toward the beginning of my career, and kind of pulling all that together in a way that's going to help them kind of get to that next stage.
Well, when I heard, that's so good. When I heard you took this new opportunity on, I thought, wow, first of all, unique, at least the little bit I know about law firms. And when you say law firm, it connotates certain things in my mind, kind of maybe old style, stodgy, just not with the time, if that makes sense. Not fair. But then you add the marketing element. And so bringing somebody like you on, I thought, wow, to me, that's being kind of cutting edge, given a little bit of what I know about your background. And then you've come from a world of, a big company. You've worked for some big outfits.
Yeah. Yeah, I just recently, my previous role was PwC, which is obviously a global consultancy, running national sales operations programs, growth programs. So yeah, this was interesting to me because it was a shift still within professional services, but a kind of a completely new realm. Um, from what the bulk of my experience has been. That was intriguing to me as a way to again bring that kind of collective experience to the table in a new kind of dimension of the industry, and see what kind of success we can make.
Yeah, it seems like kind of flexing a different muscle. I mean, you're
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
years of yeah. So I've been intrigued. We haven't had the opportunity to really talk and get into as much of what you're doing and how that looks. But I've seen some of the stuff out there on social media, and it gives me a little bit of a feel. But anyway, it's been cool and exciting, and I know selfishly, we're up here in Kansas. I know it just doesn't seem we're ever going to get you out of Houston, and why you like that heat in June, July, August. I don't know, but I get it in January, February. I get it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, same reason you're kicking yourself in January and February. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Are you at all a Houston fan? I mean, they're doing pretty well too.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Houston sport. I grew up in Houston sports. Actually, I'll
Okay.
kind of get into that as we get moving here.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, longtime Houston sports fan of all the
Oh,
different
okay.
varieties. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Well, I think I've got them picked. This might have been the first year, maybe second, that I did not pick the Jayhawks to win it. So Houston is one of my brackets, and I usually use have my son help me do my brackets. In fact, I always joke that before I go to Google or let's call it AI or Google, I go to Brady first, and he knows his stuff. But the problem is he set up the family pool, and I'm competing with him, so he's not going to help me. And he happened to be gone the other night. He's running the brackets, so I am going to admit I went to Chat GPT and went in there and I tried to help or used it to help me for the first round, and I had to guide it a little bit. It couldn't go find a bracket, which I thought, gosh, can't you find a bracket? And so then I uploaded pictures of my bracket, and then it had the matchups off one line, so it had every team playing the wrong team, and so I had to tell that it was wrong, but somehow I still had faith in it picking the right winners. So in conjunction with ChatGPT, we filled out a bracket. It's not, it's doing as good as or as bad as my brackets have done in the past. How about,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I did something very similar, Lance. But I did my own bracket first, like I
Okay.
normally would,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I was very intrigued with how evolved generative AI has become now, what it
Yeah.
would do, and very very interesting. Mine also couldn't find the bracket. Um, first it pulled the bracket from last year and tried to
Yeah.
gaslight me into thinking that that was the tournament, slate for this year. So I had to jump through some hoops there, and then initially it kind of went full chalk across the board, and I had kind of prompted to like pick some upsets. Like I want to
Hmm.
do some analysis and be a sports analyst and try to figure out what the best picks are based on matchups and so forth. I probably should have prompted it a little bit further, like for
Yeah.
instance, BYU having that injured player. Uh,
Yep.
I probably should have mentioned that more detail. But
Right.
yeah, I think I'm slightly ahead of AI right now. So we'll see how today.
So you did too, and you're comparing. So you're saying,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I did
Yeah.
my own
Good
completely on
idea.
my own.
Yeah.
And then I did one with, I basically had it do it a bracket.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for me.
Okay,
And
okay.
then I'm
Yep,
tracking against that one.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I should have done that, but at least this way, I'm just gonna blame it. I'm blaming it on AI. If I don't do well, it picks the wrong. Hey, not my fault. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll see. Anyway, Houston, I think I've gotten one of them, and then Arizona maybe in another one. So, but yeah, fun stuff. Yeah, yeah. Well, do you want to kind of go backward? Part of this, the curiosity a little bit that I've got is, I always see, and I've said it before that, when we're little kids and we're in kindergarten, whatever, first grade, kindergarten, it doesn't really matter. Back to you when you can kind of remember. But when we're in class with others, clearly there's so much we don't know about them, and it doesn't. We're
Right.
all there, and we just want to play. My life coach, she said something the other day that I think sums it up well, and it's awesome. It's like, hey, you got a belly button, I've got a belly button. That's cool. Let's go play. And so back then it can be, or it feels like it was that kind of simple. And
Right.
there were things however we saw the world, whatever lens we saw, what do we want to do, be, who are we? And going from that point, how do we get from there to where we're at now? What are the layers that life puts on you?
Yeah.
And they can be good layers or bad, but what are those sparks? What are those, when you got on a path, Brandon, did you get off the path? What caused you to get off? All that. So if you want to go back and explore that, I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As I kind of started putting together some thoughts and notes for this, and again, thanks, Lance, for inviting me on. As
You
I
might be the
started putting,
first that's ever prepared, by the way. So I appreciate so I
yeah, no, I wanted to
thank you.
be very thoughtful
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah, so my story really is about kind of adaptability, resilience. My parents separated when I was about 3 years old. And I don't remember the early parts of that, but certainly as got closer to kindergarten, was well aware that my parents weren't together. I was doing separate visits, and it was a interest. So basically, my whole life has been this scenario of adapting to the different rules of the household as I kind of traverse back and forth, um,
Mm,
adapting, learning how to kind of feel the room and what's expected. How are people feeling? Um, and there was some instability in that. And I'm not the only one that has separated parents, so I'm not trying to play a totally special case here,
sure.
but um that was kind of my reality from a very early age. And growing up, going through school and summers with my dad, and school, the rest of the year with my mom, and friend groups in two different cities, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. Um, and then kind of progressing, about 8 years old or so, being one of the OG latchkey kids, right? My
Mhm.
mom,
Mm,
um, at times was working three jobs, to support her and my brother and I, um, and watching her kind of traverse through her own instability and
mm,
perseverance, was something I had a front row seat to.
yeah.
And watching my dad, his career is a little bit like mine, which I'll kind of talk about, in that, was pretty consistently doing a lot of different things. Owned his own business at one point, real estate, was in the oil field early on in his career, and just had this very diverse kind of career as it kind of has evolved.
Huh?
And so had a front row seat of that as well. And had a really strong family network and backbone. So that definitely helped with kind of the overall the overall stability, knowing that, I had strong family support and all of that, but just the day to day and the moving from different situations,
Yeah.
was kind of a reality that I internalized pretty early on.
Okay. My felt support, felt loved, but I'm those are kind of question marks. But where I'm going is, and maybe, well, you just said kind of recognized it. I'm thinking as we get older, we can look back and have perspective on it and say, gosh, well, I can see patterns. I can see what that has done. Right. That's what I've been with a life coach for about a year and doing some work and kind of say, why do I keep making these same kind of things? Or why do I keep still liking this? But you're saying, so yeah, and I'm not hearing you make an excuse or anything like that. Everybody, people go through this, but still it's affecting you, right?
Yeah.
All those emotions, those feelings, you're feeling, I'm sure, lonely and instability. You're scared, as a little kid. But you're adapting. But what you just said right there. So I kind of went off, but you said you recognized early on that, yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah, I recognized early on that there had to be some self-reliance. Like, I had to kinda learn my
Mm,
way, being a latchkey kid, I
yeah.
was looking out for my brother after when we got out of
And he's
school,
younger, right?
and he's
Just
a little bit
yep,
younger than me.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
and, so there was just a degree of growing up fast
Mhm,
that kinda came along with this, um, and, kinda solving problems, in those hours after school, before, my mom got home,
yeah.
and kinda growing up quickly, and yeah, a lot of this obviously was daunting at the time, and it wasn't even just until maybe a few years ago that I kind of connected all the dots in terms
Hmm,
of what those early years, how formative they were in terms of kind of where I've ended up and what kind of career I've had. And um, all the relationships along the way. Um, so kind of delve into that a little bit.
yeah,
The punchline is that I love variety. That's why
yeah.
I have
Wow.
been drawn to consulting, for over the years. That's why, 90% of my career has been in consulting. And it's the constant flow of problems and challenges and new situations that because I'm basically a pro at dealing with,
You
you know,
you've learned to adapt and
instability.
solve. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
And and so even to the fact of um I would move the furniture in my bedroom, my childhood bedroom, probably every few weeks. It was like the one place that I had control and I could experiment and I could problem solve. And man, I had some weird configurations in my room a time or
Yeah,
two, but it
yeah,
was just that kind of trying to manage my own environment and have some stability, have some control over what I wanted at
yeah,
that point in my life. And it sounds bizarre, but, that was just kinda my creative process, coming out and my way of kind of adapting and having a little bit of, uh, influence on, you know, what my room looked like at
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Right.
given and,
Yeah.
so as I got older, Lance, I studied business, but I also got a minor in computer science. And this is when, maybe not so much at the time, but certainly as kind of, my life progressed, but computer science really gave me the additional tools to understand logic and systems
Mm,
thinking and putting structure around, unsolved problems and kind of chaos, right? And so that was a great balance for me with the business degree and led to, as I kind of looked back, some years later, it was like I was already doing that stuff in my life, and now this education like gave me some logical tools to apply and I still use that minor as of today. Like,
Wow. Yeah.
still a major part of how I think and how I operate. Um, and so as I got out of school, I have these tools, these skill sets, and I my first job out of college was a programming position. um, and then I kind of progressed through those years and got into project and program management. So really managing the overall effort and helping define an effort that was going to build something,
Mhm, mhm,
right?
mhm.
And then you get into the team management and developing team players and developing future leaders, which by the way I think is the most important responsibility we will ever have as leaders, is to develop the next generation of leaders.
Yeah. Yep,
Um,
no doubt.
and
Yeah, we're not around
and,
forever, right?
that's right.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. And not just at work, but in our families, in our communities, et cetera, et cetera. But this is also kind of where I found out, Lance, that I enjoy the building a lot more than the maintaining. So I'm a builder. Once I get this grand thing, built and established,
Yes.
I'm more of one that wants to kind of turn that over to a different team and then go find the next, kind of
Y
mountain to summit.
Yep,
And
I
so
can relate. Yep.
and that's not just problem solving and systems and programming, but it's building people. And I just kind of alluded to that in terms of the most important skill or responsibility. And I feel like if we really build great talent and people, they're going to build the great systems and solutions
Yep, yep.
for the problems. So I think it really starts with the people, and um, and then the rest kind of takes care of itself.
I totally agree. I'm gonna so had a former, mentor, boss that I don't know if he came up with the phrase, but he said it all the time, and it resonated, and I loved it, especially being an engineer. But he said, "It's 90% people, and it's 20% people. It's all about the people." And I I love that. So what you just said is you're right. It's all about people.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
really cool.
And now, Lance, we're obviously I've spent a good chunk of my career in technology and digital transformation type projects and initiatives. And now here we are, all kind of staring down generative AI
Yeah,
as the new whiz bang, solution that's out there. And it's pretty intimidating for a lot of people. It's hard to know where to get started. It's not like the ERP systems or the CRM tools that we use. These are tools that can really almost be anything you need them to be. You have to develop the mindset and the capability to prompt it and work with it to get to a desired outcome, and then use it at scale. But really, at the end of the day, it comes back to the people, right? In my mind, AI's job is to amplify us, make us better versions of ourselves, make us work faster, smarter, evaluate problems in more detail than we ever could on our own or with other humans.
right.
Um, that's really where I think, this technology fits in.
Y No doubt. I think that's where the opportunity, right? That's the
Yeah.
positive. That's the yeah. And I've sensed, fear and people scared of it. And I will say that and so I wanted to hear maybe you since you're more, I'd say, in the trenches and working around others, or at least had teams that were on the
Yeah.
front edge of this. But yeah, I went to an event the other night, and I was by far the oldest in the room by probably double. And so I'm sitting around the room, and so the generation, our kids' generation, is sitting in there, and I could sense the uncertainty of what kind of jobs are going to be out there, or the job that I thought was going to be, is it going to be gone? And this is also the generation that I would say probably a lot better at using AI than me. They know technology a lot better than I do. But yeah, so a lot of anxiety or fears, scared, because it's not going away, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
So my take on that, Lance, is it's a revolution, right? We had the Industrial Revolution, we've had others,
yep, yep,
and yes, careers were made obsolete with just about every revolution along the way, but entirely new industries and careers were also formed by that same revolution. And so my guidance to anybody of any age is that um, we've got to develop um, that mindset. We've got to develop the curiosity
yeah,
to understand how to engage with it. Again, your goal should be to utilize it to uh, help it make you a better version of yourself, right? Think through problems quicker, evaluate uh, blind spots in an analysis, whatever it may be for you at that moment. Some of the pundits very early on said that new users should be trying to utilize AI tools 20 to 30 times a day.
wow,
So instead of going to Google, instead of writing the first draft yourself, really try to get in the habit of going AI first, and then but humans have to stay in the loop,
yeah,
right?
right,
You still have to quality check the outputs, fact check the outputs. Um, but that's the kind of change management it's going to take to really get get comfortable
yeah, yep,
with it, and kind of demystify
hmm,
the technology a bit. Um, and so through my roles that have been focused on AI, that has been a lot of what I've advised clients, how to pursue and
hmm.
how to kind of conquer that.
So, do you use it 20 to 30 times a day, or how? I guess how are you using it
Good question. So I use it,
other than bracket?
yeah,
Yeah,
for
right,
pulling my March Madness brackets for me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, good one. Um, it's not very good at that. I
right,
don't think.
right.
Maybe I didn't spend enough time with it, but
It's all. I've heard it's all in the prompting, right?
I feel like it was brand new to the concept of March Madness.
Yeah, right,
Uh,
right. Whoever's
anyways,
training AI, they don't know much
yeah,
about. Yeah,
we missed the March Madness element of the training model.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so I use it to brainstorm,
yeah.
concepts. Like for example, um, I'm launching a campaign to do vlogging and podcasts for my firm, and so I've been using it to brainstorm on um, ch- uh, channels,
Yeah, yeah.
content channels,
Uh-huh.
and episodes, and a content calendar and the like. I use it to review and summarize documents. I use it to help me draft, reports and analyze data. It's really I've got some agents that I've built that are built for a specific purpose. For example, I built one a few months ago that helps our attorneys develop their personal business plans for the year. And so I fed it a bunch of examples. I told it exactly what role it needed to play, gave it some guardrails, and did tons of testing, and then have made that available. to them, and I've built a few others as well, here and in previous
Wow.
roles.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just like anything kind of unfamiliar. It's daunting,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but once you kind of get into it, and there's tons of resources out there now, YouTube channels and other resources. To go into any tool that you want, whether it's Copilot, Claude, ChatGPT, whatever the case may be, that'll teach you the prompting skills, teach you how to build agents yourself, and take some of the idea is making you a better version of yourself is also removing much of the administrative stuff that you deal with in a given day,
Right.
so you
Right.
can redirect those cycles on strategic
Yes.
elements of your role.
Yep. Work on the business more than in it.
Right,
Yeah. Yep.
right,
Yep.
right. Well said, well
Yep.
said.
Um, so when you were little, is this what you saw yourself doing someday? I know you
No,
couldn't have saw AI unless,
no,
yeah, I don't know what
couldn't have seen
movie was out
AI.
there at that in the early '80s or in the '70s. I don't know what movie was out there
Yeah,
that, uh,
no, no, never saw this coming, and, back to your something you said early on, Lance, at times, in the, early, mid part of my career, there were many times it was like, "What am I doing?" Like, how does this connect to anything else that I've done? Where's this all going? You
uh-huh,
know?
uh-huh.
And, of course, our grandparents, worked one or two jobs their entire career, right? And so
Yep.
that's a little I was old enough to remember that that generation, stayed in their careers, and here I
Yes.
am moving around and doing different
Yes.
things, and it's like a little bit of like, what's happening? What's going on here? And
Or
yeah,
should you
go ahead.
be? Yeah, not only
Yeah,
you're exactly right. Kinda what you knew or the standard. Should I be doing this? I mean,
yeah,
is it okay to change my interest, you know?
yes, yes.
Because the people I've seen, they haven't kinda thing, or not, but yeah,
And so what I have found, Lance, is looking back now, all of those different positions that I've held are the things that make me desirable as a candidate and an employee now, right? All the different situations that I put myself in, some of them intentionally, some of them, just kind of hanging on for the ride.
yeah.
Um,
It's
looking back,
it's real experience,
it's real
wisdom. Yeah,
experience,
yep,
and it's
yep,
and it's diverse.
yes, yep,
And I at the time, it felt totally disconnected, but I think in the last few years in particular, 6, 8 years, I've really been able to kinda get it all connected where that whole career base now makes a ton of sense,
yeah.
as I kinda try to tell my story, and, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that, and really what it is the accumulation of this really started in that training ground of having to be adaptable, the perseverance to kind of get through some daunting things as a young child and be really independent and growing up fast, like all of that, and the desire around the variety and the problem solving really kind of led directly into my professional life.
Mm, yeah, what you, kinda described there, there's so much depth, and I think I heard it Steve Jobs, a clip or something that he was giving a speech somewhere, and you don't understand the data points until you get, until you have a bunch of them, or time passes, and then you go back and you can connect them.
Right, right.
And I think it's just so true. And what you just said, and I'm going to tell you, I relate 100% because at different times in my life, maybe felt lost, or I don't, is this really who I am? What, or should be doing, or if I'm wanting to do that, is that right? And you don't know, right? You're in it. You are in the weeds, in the valley, whatever you want to call it. What do they say? You can't see the forest for the trees, but you're in it. But now, as you look back, and I think the powerful word that you said is you're proud. You're proud of it, and I would guess that you weren't always proud of it because you didn't know. Like you said, you didn't know where it was heading, and you didn't know how much of in you all that, let's call it grit, perseverance, the things that you had in you was keeping you or putting you along that journey. And now you look back and you can go, wow, that I'm really proud of what I did because yeah, that's who I am. I mean, it's who I am and
Yeah.
who I was.
Yeah.
I kind of understand that. I got perspective now, and that's tough to
Exactly.
do when you're in it. And yeah, I so that's part of what, just in listening to you that, and anybody else listening to this, that um, I, as you get older, it's I think easier to look. Maybe it's easier, or you just got the benefit of time and perspective. Again, you've got more data points.
More
Maybe
experience.
you can connect them more.
Yep.
So I guess this is for those that are listening, maybe, and they're going, well, I can't relate, or I'm in a period right now. I don't really know. I don't really know what I should be doing or that. I think, yeah. So I, to me, I would encourage I don't know, trust yourself. I
Yeah.
don't, it's hard to tell somebody, when they're in it, but yeah,
Well, I think there is a reminder there to, um, be, try to gain perspective when you're in the throes of it, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and you're not going to know every move that's coming down the road, but you can be, um, conscious about it and try to, uh, ensure that the moves you're making professionally or personally stay connected with your overall sort of, you know, thematic objectives. And there's still a lot that you're not going to know,
yeah, right.
because you don't have the full breadth of experience, or you know um, haven't been in multiple roles and kind of different industries over time. But that doesn't mean you can't really try to be intentional about how you want it to proceed.
That's right. Yep. And I think some of that unknown is part of what, even though it's uncomfortable, it creates growth and then eventually creates appreciation once you've gone through it. If not for that, it can make other things richer. So even though what's in front of you may not go, I don't know, but yeah, um, this has been good stuff. It, what I'm trying to think. When you're at what point did you kind of see the path, or it became clearer to you? Is it
I would, the first conscious decision, well, all the decisions were conscious, you know, the progression through the early days of programming, the project management stuff. I had almost a whole career in program management, as you probably recall, Lance. Um, and when I came back to PwC, um, from a corporate position that I had for about 4.5 years, was one of the spots where I really made it a very concerted effort to have a certain type of role, and that was to be in in the consulting space, but more on the top of the funnel, demand generation, sales operations, sales enablement, pipeline management, growth
yeah,
programs, and
yep,
not be on the billable delivery side of
yeah,
the equation. And that's really where what I had managed for up in my consulting life up to that point was more on the delivery side. So really wanted to kind of broaden that skill set more. So spent about 8.5 years at PwC doing that, and I think accomplished what I set out to do there. And then I had the opportunity, a couple years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, still at PwC, to get on the track with AI, get in kind of on the ground floor and help develop and launch PwC's strategic alliance with OpenAI. And so to me, that was another very intentional role that I went out and pursued, as a kind of a graduation and um, another piece of kind of the well-rounded, diverse, background that I wanted to cultivate. Um, and then it all kind of culminated when I decided to come to the law firm, and all of those things I just talked about, as well as my creative agency, my decade at a creative agency, much earlier on, kind of all sort of gelled together to be, what was needed in this role.
Yeah. Yeah. How big's the law firm?
So it's about 160 attorneys.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good size.
Yeah.
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 It's technically mid-size, but again, they're trying to have some very intentional growth, not to become an AmLaw 200 firm by any stretch, but just continue to grow and broaden our capabilities, which has been really exciting.
Bet. Yeah. Something new to build and go out and make
Absolutely.
it happen for them. Yeah. Um, Looking back, is there anybody, any particular person that was kind of an inspiration to you or, helped you along the way or
Yeah, I'm actually working with this individual here at the law firm. He and I have crossed paths at, I think maybe this was our fourth stop together,
Uh-huh.
and we connected very early on back in those agency days,
Wow.
25 plus years ago,
Mhm.
and have not always been at the same places, but we tend to find ourselves back together at some point, after a few years.
Isn't that something? Yeah, I was having coffee with somebody the other day and we talked about that you can meet somebody, interact with them, and you go on and maybe 10 years later you reconnect and maybe another 10 years somehow that we're on our own paths, but and I can say that's happened to me. Anything that I've been successful at, I can really attribute to somebody helping me out.
Yep.
And it's sometimes it's somebody that I haven't talked to in many years, but then might have reached out to them. But it might have been somebody I met, like you said, 20, 30 years ago. Well,
Yeah.
I'm at my current job right now, and the CEO is somebody that I met in engineering school 30 plus years ago. So you never know.
The
And that's why I tell my kids, I said, hey, just first job, whatever, just work hard, pretty much don't say no and be a good person
Yeah.
and meet people.
Y
And you're right. It
yeah.
comes, it's crazy in this. It's a small world, in a way that there's people out there and a lot of people out there willing to help as well. That's
Yeah.
cool. You're four different places and,
Yeah, we've had a good
um,
run together.
yeah,
Several good
that's like
runs.
going back to college it's like the coaching staffs that,
Yeah.
stick together, yeah,
Yep.
in a highly volatile industry where you're getting fired and having to move, but yet they take care of each other.
That's right. Yeah,
Goes
that's
back to people, right? Yeah,
goes back to people, goes back to
yep,
trust.
that's
Yeah.
right. You guys built that trust many, many years ago, and when you're sitting there thinking, "Hey, who's a good guy? Who's a good person I can count on?" That's why. So you're both. Was he always in the legal profession?
No,
So now you're both in the. Yeah, that's wild.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
huh? That's
So,
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you got anything? What else? Anything else you want to cover? Um,
Well, I'll tell you this, Lance, you kinda hit on, the family and kids.
mhm.
You know, I've been I like kind of the variety in my professional life. I'm a bit more looking for kind of stability by design, um, on the personal front. trying to make sure that my kids still grow up to be very adaptable and have perseverance and grit and strong work ethic, but without some of the um, experiences that I went through, that
Yeah,
helped to
yeah,
get me there. So I'm
right.
hoping to kind of, I've always been thoughtful about giving them the same opportunities, um, you know, with with our full family, still together, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's about creating different types of situations and opportunities. I know your kids also experience this, whether it's sports and fine arts, and where my son told me this a couple years ago. He's like, I think he had just done had to give a presentation at 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 college, and he said something to the effect of, "I would have never had been ready to do this if you didn't force me to talk to coaches during baseball."
mm, mm, mhm, that's
So
cool, yeah.
so still kind of creating those opportunities, but not
Yeah,
with not with you know
yeah, through stability, yeah, like you said, you didn't wanna you wanted a more stable environment. You didn't wanna do it the same way you grew up, right? But
that. Thank you.
you're wanting to create those same lessons, that grit,
Right,
that
right.
perseverance, the work ethic, whatever it is. And it is interesting you say that because, I didn't grow up with we all grow up with different parents, right? Different ways and all that, but I struggle with that a lot of times that well, first I was gonna say, that's really cool that Tyler listened to you and you got some validation. Sometimes I don't know if my kids are or hearing anything I'm saying, but I've struggled sometimes wondering how to impart some of those, let's call them harder lessons, in a maybe a different way. I mean, I grew up, my dad instilled a lot of work ethic in I've got 2 other brothers in us, and when we were doing some of that work, we hated it.
Yes,
And yeah, and so it's tough for like now, yeah, some of those things, some of those lessons, I know exactly, I can relate totally what you're saying. How do
yes,
you create some of that adversity that shaped who you are in a good way, right?
right.
Yeah, there are other things you gotta deal with, but you're taking it all you're proud. You said it earlier, you're proud of who you have become and who you are and what kind of person, and so that part of your story is part of that, and so how do you create that with your kids? Right, and I do believe you can't just be all rainbows and cupcakes. I mean, you've gotta have some adversity and go through some things. And what you're kinda saying is you and your wife have created an environment that's, pretty stable and loving and secure for those kids, and how do you create some of that other stuff that makes them yeah, shapes them. Yeah,
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
it's yeah.
And
When you
yeah,
figure
so
that
it's
out, let's come back on, because I tell people as a parent, I'm still figuring I don't know if I'm figuring it out, but I haven't figured it out,
oh,
but
still working on it.
it's just a work in progress. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah.
No, no, no.
Oh,
All good. All good.
no, but you're man, you were right on, as far as the kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
t
yeah, and I think we've done a good job with all
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You can't totally prepare them for every scenario, but give them the raw skills and experience that they need to adapt. And
adapt.
and
That's right. Adapt and go forward, right? And
yeah,
yep, and be with
that's
them.
right.
If they feel loved and know you're with them, I think that gets you probably 99% there.
No doubt.
Um, so and knowing your kids and you guys, I know they feel that. So, um, we've still got a few minutes if you got anything. Anything?
I
Not
am
to put you on the spot, but
no,
yeah.
I am scripted out.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, so are you gonna get to take any more of the day and watch, I mean, now more important things?
Yeah.
Basketball? Yeah.
So yeah, I am about to get out of here.
Okay.
Hopefully in about a half an hour. I've got an errand I've got to run, and then I'm going to try and go plop down in front of the TV.
That's awesome.
What
Yeah.
about you?
Same thing. I took the day off, and I haven't watched much basketball yet. I'm getting ready to. We're gonna have a watch party tonight.
Oh, fun.
Some friends come over, which I always say, good time to get your house clean is throw a watch party. And so probably for the next couple hours, I'm going to be doing, making sure it's presentable for others to come over, but just kind of a small group. We've got a lot of friends
Yeah,
are on spring break and doing other stuff, but yeah,
very
we'll,
nice.
we'll get the rock chalk on and be cheering. And really I was kind of hoping, well, tomorrow and Sunday, I think I'll kind of settle into some basketball. Last couple of days have been busy,
Yeah,
but
yeah, same,
hopefully settle
same.
in. But we've got
I
Houston.
somebody asked me where we are playing, and I couldn't even answer that question. I've been so heads down.
Yep. Yeah. Well, San Diego, by the way, another
That's right.
nice and warm.
That's
But
right.
we've got Houston weather where we're at right now. I mean, I think it's going to get up to 88 potentially in
Oof,
the upper 80s today.
goodness.
Beautiful
Yeah,
day. Yeah.
yeah, that's what we're running up to as well. I'm surprised it's that warm there um, at this point, but I know you guys had some snow just a week or
Hey,
so ago. So
you're a Kansas guy. You know Kansas.
yeah,
If you don't like the weather, just wait 15 minutes or so.
right, right.
Yeah. We were negative on Monday. I think we were 10 degrees, feels like -8, something like that. So yeah,
That's
now we're in the 88.
the weather has
So
been just, but I believe me when I tell you, we had Kansas gales going on down here the last couple of weeks as well. Like it's just all over the place.
yeah, good old
So
Western Kansas wind
yeah,
blow you
yeah,
everywhere. Yeah. Well, dude, I really appreciate the time and your support and the words of encouragement and you being able or being willing to be vulnerable and kind of share some of your story. I think it's
yeah.
really neat.
This has been awesome. I think your platform is evolved so much already, and yeah, I'm proud of you, man.
All right, dude. Well, thank you. Rock chalk.
Rock
Cheers.
shot.
All
We'll
right,
see you
man.
soon.
Okay. See you.
Cheers.
What part of your story might be shaping who you're becoming, even if you haven't fully named it yet? This is the Fort Builders. Thanks for being part of the build.